Do, 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 do. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of Joe Black Meets. And this week it is time to bring in the models as I talk to senior global artist at MAC Cosmetics, but maybe more recognizable as one of the judges, the head judges, along with Val Garland, of Glow Up, which is the basically makeup. It's makeup drag race. It's a makeup competition where very talented people just do what they love, and that's putting things on people's faces. Me and Dominic had never met before. So this was the first time, and I had such a lovely time talking to them. Afterwards, we went for lunch. Yeah, it was such a pleasure. So I had such a lovely time recording this and getting to meet a person that we've exchanged a couple of messages online, but never anything too in depth to sit and have a good natter, both recorded and unrecorded, for a couple of hours. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed my time with Dominic. Yes, please be sure to like and subscribe, all of that nonsense. And of course, you can catch me on tour at the end of the year with Club Cataclysm. That's October and November 2022 across the UK and Ireland. Buy a t-shirt, buy some prints, whatever you feel to support, because there are no adverts in this. This is the advert, which is me. So I don't know if that counts. Nah, it doesn't. Anyway, here's Dominic Skinner. Love ya. Bye. Hello, Dominic Skinner.
Hello, Joe Black. How are you?
I'm all right here. We are in the MAC offices. This is all very exciting. You know, there's hustle and bustle, lipsticks flying everywhere, eyeshadow just across the walls, artistry, all of that. But in reality, it's very quiet, isn't it? We've got a lovely little
We do.
silent corporate space where we shall talk art and delicious things.
Quiet Fridays. It's the only time I'm in the office because no one else is.
You can't face anyone.
Just don't want to meet anyone. Just keep your head down.
Well, thank you very much for doing this. It's a pleasure. We've never met before.
No.
We've spoken on the old Instagram.
Yeah, you slipped into my DMs, or did I
into
slip
the
into
DMs,
yours?
And
Oh, no.
I said, would you like a chat? Do you fancy a little natter? And you say, go on then. And this is the first time for this that I'm talking to someone. You know, there's been guests from all different walks of creative endeavors, but I've not had anyone that is makeup. There is makeup that's an element of what they do, but not necessarily that is the form in which their creativity takes. Because I've got a sort of bizarre relationship with makeup where it is an essential factor of my work, but I wouldn't consider myself a makeup artist. And I'm not, and I don't mean it in I'm not passionate about it. I'm passionate about the result,
Yeah.
but not the getting there necessarily, which is why I find makeup artists really fascinating. So I had done some reading, and what I read about you was that at the age of 10, you watched Bladerunner.
Yes.
You saw Daryl Hannah splash some black across her eyes.
You're making me weak at the knees.
And you said, that is for me.
Yeah. I saw this. It's this one particular scene. I'll be honest. A 10-year-old does not understand what Blade Runner is about. But I was one of those kids that was just very much in their own bubble. That kind of. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Sorry. I was one of those kids that was definitely in my own bubble, and I was slightly left of centre, always trying to fit in, but never really did. So kind of did my own thing quite a lot. And I watched a lot of movies. I watched a lot of TV. I was constantly going down Blockbuster.
Those.
Yeah, getting the videos that you weren't really meant to get. And I remember watching the scene where Daryl sprays her eyes with this black airbrush, and everything just sank into place. And it wasn't necessarily the makeup, because I fell into makeup later on in life. I didn't pursue makeup as a career. Like, that wasn't what I wanted to do. But it was this idea of self-expression that she just whimsically sprayed black across her eyes, got up and walked away as if like, yeah, and it was so, I found it so empowering that she could be this complete individual, that it inspired me to just be myself, to embrace my oddities, to embrace the things that others may find annoying and difficult, and actually understand that they find it difficult because I may be challenging things within them that are making them question their own existence. As deep as that is within 30 seconds of starting this.
Oh no, that's gorgeous.
But you know what I mean? It's like, you know, I think the weird thing is I'm I've, you know, we all got a lot of problems. I'm dyslexic. And being dyslexic in the 80s and 90s meant that you were considered stupid, thick, unintelligent. And I always knew I wasn't. I knew I was intelligent. I knew I had a brain, and I knew that it worked. I just didn't know how to connect it in a way that made other people listen. And so it was that sort of moment where watching this one very small scene kind of connected all the dots and made me realize, actually, this is what I need to do.
Like a lightning strike.
Yeah, it was.
I always find this really fascinating because I remember sort of my one, and there's the way it makes you feel there's like a wash over your body, and and everything feels clearer.
Yeah. I call it I have these things, I call them moments of enlightenment. They're these little moments where suddenly the clouds pass, the sun beams down, and you see it. You understand what everything is for. And everyone has them, but you have them multiple times. Sorry, I jumped in. Go on.
No, that was beautiful. No, that's yeah. And then that sort of helped open your, like, okay, cool, the dots are now connected. And then was there kind of an immediate follow up to it? Is it something that you did straight after that where you were like, right?
Well, to a degree, yes. Anyone that sat down got my mum's Estee Lauder navy blue eyeshadow over their eyes.
That's a lovely full circle, isn't it?
They got that across their eyes, a la Daryl Hannah from Bladerunner, if they sat around long enough. My dad got it many times. But it was more just the understanding of expression and self-expression and sort of the creativity. I'm the youngest of 3 kids, so, you know, I always think that the oldest kid has the hardest time because they're kind of battling the parental control for the following children. The second child has the rubble to step over, and the third child is literally just, it's an open field, and you're almost like it's not that you're forgotten, you're just sort of, you're left to your own devices. You're the spare, and you can literally get on and do what you want. So, you know, I was able to just go off and be creative. So makeup was not the result. No, the makeup was the result of the freedom that I had to just be.
Because you studied art, didn't you?
Yeah, I studied art. I had this dream of living in Paris in a loft with no windows, just lots of blankets and an open fire, and eating baked beans and just being.
I think that's a common thing with artists, isn't it? It's that kind of romanticized idea of that kind of bohemian life. It's like, oh, I will drink only wine and coffee and smoke cigarettes. I won't need to eat. I don't need sleep. I shall lounge around with my backcombed hair and wear all black and just think wild thoughts. It's very
just being eccentric and just sort of, you know, just be and just live. And and that was the goal. That was the goal. And then I suddenly realised, actually, I'm not very good in cold weather. I do like to eat a lot, and the reality sunk in when I was at art school. I thought, well, maybe I need to do something else.
Did you see other people living that life, and you thought, nah, not for me?
Well, what it was a friend of mine actually did live in Paris. She was at Parsons Art College, and I went to visit her to go see Bjork in concert. And this was like 96. I was just about to graduate from high school, and she had graduated the year before and was in Paris, and she lived in the most amazing tiny little apartment at the top of the building, and it was everything that I wanted it to be. But then the reality kind of kicked in. It was like, maybe I don't want to do this. But it's almost that weird thing of I want to be creative, so I'm doing creative things. Is this all right?
Yeah.
I want to be
talking about the microphones, by the way. If anyone's, I was like, is this right? I wasn't had like a cup of tea or something going, is this all right? Have I put enough milk in it?
Yeah, too much milk, always too much milk. But yeah, I wanted to be creative. I just didn't know the outlet. And I think that's the benefit of going to art school, is having the ability to just play and work it out.
That's a common thing with art school as well. That a lot of people who go there don't actually end up doing the thing that they're studying, but it not references it kind of clarifies or gives you like a little springboard for something else. So someone who studies fine art may end up doing something else that involves some of the skills they've learned, and in your case it was makeup. So at what point then, if you went into the what was the kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? That moment there where you went, I'm going to put this on someone's face.
The transition. I would say the thing that makeup has always, when I look back, makeup has always played a part within my experience. From Daryl Hannah to Rick Baker watching the transformation of the werewolf. There were, and then just to my mum, watching my mum. My mum was like Sue Ellen on Dallas. She was she was so glamorous. Well, she is glamorous. She still is glamorous. She's 75, even though she would hate me saying that out loud. She's 75. Yeah, but she's and she but she still wears a full face of makeup. She will always be well put together no matter what. And I would watch her apply makeup every day. I would watch her do her makeup, and I was just quite fascinated by the whole process. And one of the things she used to do, when being the youngest and there being sort of a 5-year age gap between me and my middle brother, meant that my brothers would go off and do their own thing, and I was just kind of at home, painting the dog's toenails with her nail varnish and stuff. So so she would do this thing where she would bring her makeup brushes down, and I would paint her face, but with her makeup brushes, with no makeup on. But it was a way that she could just have a little 5-minute, 10-minute nap. Whilst
she clocked what kept you.
But she knew that I was there. She knew that I was there, but she could close her eyes and have a little sleep. So the makeup's always played a part. And but then in the 90s, one of the saddest things at the minute is the lack of visualization for young people. It's very homogenized and generic within Instagram. It's you see one thing, you see it a million times.
You feel like you see the same person over and over and over again.
Yeah, but when growing up in the 90s, the Face magazine was like the most influential magazine that could have happened to me. Seeing it from the 90s, but obviously having it around in the 80s, but I wasn't aware of it. But in the 90s, I just remember seeing art and fashion colliding beautifully and so inspirationally. So when I was then going to school and I was seeing these magazines, at the train station, but never having the money to pay for it, so I'd flick through it and then go to school and try and recreate it. So I would then add makeup to to my friends and take photographs, and so I was incorporating makeup a lot within that sort of discovery, but it never really sort of became a thing until basically my mum told me to go and get a job and don't come back until you've got one, because I finished school, went to uni, did a year of art school, and then got into fashion. And so I got a place at London College of Fashion doing menswear. And I wanted to do women's wear, but my mind was like, well, actually, I'll just do women's wear, but just put it on men. That just makes more sense. But then after sort of a couple of months of thinking about it, I was like, actually, I don't know if I want to do that. So my mum, thinking that I was going to be the next John Paul Gaultier, was horrified. She was so angry at me that I was giving up this potential of her being able to lord it over her friends, that my son, the big fashion designer. So she got really angry and told me to leave and don't come back until I got a job. And so I got a job at the Body Shop. And Body Shop had a makeup line. And the people that I worked with, I'm sure they did it as a joke. They were like, oh, there's this bloke, let's get him to do all the makeup, ha ha ha. But because of all the background of art and playing with makeup, I just found it really easy. I found the transition really easy. And it kind of, that's where I suddenly thought, okay, this is what I want to do. The makeup. And it was the makeup, but it wasn't necessarily the makeup or the play or the looks. And I know this, I always say this and everyone thinks it sounds like a load of bullshit, but it was genuinely getting the responses of people almost. What I realized was makeup allows the individual to become the person they are inside. Mm-hmm. You're painting on the outside what is deep in the inside.
Yeah, I don't think that's bullshit at all. I think that rings true for a lot of people, whether as a creative or just as a human in the day to day. You know, it's not, for a lot of people, it's not necessarily about impressing other people. It's about projecting themselves onto themselves. Yeah. What I find interesting about this is that not once have you said about putting makeup on yourself.
No, yeah.
So for my relationship is just doing it on me to kind of meet a goal.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever play around with it on your own face, or was it always like on other people? That you always wanted a canvas.
Yeah, it was always on other people. It was kind of a mix between the times. You know, it wasn't a selfie moment in the world. So therefore, it's so funny. On Instagram the other day, I posted I've been having a big old clear out, and I found a photo of
the art school.
The art school.
And then you said, for people waiting to trying to figure out which one I am, I took the photo.
Yeah. I was actually behind the camera taking the photo of my art class, and so people find it weird that you wouldn't be in the photo as well. But that's the thing. It's like it never occurred to me to really put makeup on myself. I have done, and I do, for more social media than anything else. But it's more play. I am absolutely rubbish at doing my own makeup. It's only just now that I realised when I put a lipstick on myself to basically block out the Cupid's bow. So I put the lipstick straight over the little indent of the Cupid's bow, because that makes my lips look better. Whereas when I would try and paint the Cupid's bow in, it just always looked weird. And that's like, I've been doing makeup for nearly 25 years, and I've only just realised that.
That's so funny, because I think everyone complains it's harder to kind of do makeup on other people and yourself. I mean, you get that a lot in with Glow Up and stuff. A lot of them go, "I've never done makeup on someone else."
Yes,
and it's like when I've tried it, I can make myself look a certain way, and then I go, "Oh, it's easy," and I'm starting on someone's face. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like, it's a mess doing it on someone else. But I guess for me, it's like a manhandling thing that I will just punch that brush into my own face. But I'm not going to give someone a black eye trying to pack on some blue eyeshadow. And I think it's so straight after all this time. And I think it's harder to do someone else to then turn onto your own
It is. It's not. Is doing makeup on someone else is not an easy. It's not an easy job. You know, it is challenging, and I think the interesting thing is people who do their own makeup a lot. You know, and they do it beautifully, and then, like you say, and then they try and do it on someone else, and it becomes an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
But you know, there's multiple reasons for that. You know, there are lots of sort of nuances to the face that just you need to figure it out, and you need to learn to figure out quickly. If you, as a makeup artist, you have models come in and you have to just put makeup on their face straight away.
One of the things we're watching Glow Up that stresses me out when it's like, go, oh,
Yeah.
you know, and that's. I mean, we'll come to that in a minute because I find it fascinating, the kind of fast paced, like you've just got to go do a good job, here you go, thing. I want to ask, because you are a senior global artist for MAC.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what that is.
I don't either. I'm still waiting for, like 9 years later, I'm still waiting for someone to tell me what I'm meant to be doing. What is it?
Yeah, what is it? What does a senior? In my head, what it is you're in this big white room, and someone comes in, and you sort of like a soothsayer sat there sort of with your legs crossed with like chanting music, and you look up and you go, red lip.
That's basically what I do. 90% of the time, that is my life. Yeah, like I just sit by a big red telephone, and then once every month it will ring, and I pick it up, and I'm like, blue eyeshadow, and then I hang up, and then that's my life. That's basically it. How do I explain it?
What? So. Can I say what I think it is?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, and then you can. So we're
That's probably going to be the easiest way of answering. Actually.
Do you represent MAC? And there is a new product, and you go, here is what you can do with it. Is that a good explanation?
That's exactly it. There we go. Yeah, no, it's multifaceted, multi-layered. There's a lot of things that I do within the realms of my position. I think the clearest answer is to just say I am the spokesperson for the brand. Mm-hmm. So instead of having a celebrity ambassador that maybe is on an advert or, you know, talking about whatever, I'm that, but 24/7. So MAC is a makeup artist brand. It you know, there's MAC is makeup artist cosmetics, so it's an artist-led company.
I was today years old when I've just learnt that fact.
Oh, really? There we go.
I've been using MAC for years, and I just thought that was just its name.
Yeah, no, it stands for something. It actually just stands for something. Oh my goodness. So, you know, and I kind of always say that the A is, you know, is the artist, and it's holding the other letters together, and it's kind of really it's the heart of what MAC is all about. And my role is to really sort of keep that heart pumping by delivering the artistry
and it's
element.
of giving people ideas and going, this, you know, this thing can be used for this, and if you use it like this, you'll get this, and to inspire people,
and to inspire all sorts, you know, from fellow makeup artists to you know, Julie dropping off her kids at primary school, to someone on social media who wants to be creating all sorts. My role is to just sort of really promote the product and show exactly how you do it. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is I do work sort of behind the scenes on a lot of forthcoming product launches, testing products. Any sort of element of artistry that is required is where I kind of step in.
They wheel you out.
Yeah.
They take you out of your white box, put you on a little like sack trolley, and just.
Yeah. So it could be design. I've designed makeup looks for theatre productions. I've do a lot of fashion week internationally as well. Key shows, work on teams, all sorts. Quotes. I do a lot of quotes for magazines as well. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and then in the in between times, I'm then creating content, which is kind of a new development. When I got the job, social media wasn't really a thing, so it's kind of
campaigns. I guess,
yeah. So you kind of have to adapt, and you have to sort of roll with the punches and sort of, you know. But it's like anything in life. You can't stick to doing the same thing every day. You have to evolve. Otherwise, I mean, I would get so bored. So that's the one thing that I do say, that, you know, every day is different. And if you love a 9 to 5, it is not the job for you.
And well, if you love makeup as well.
Yeah.
Again, I'm fascinated by people who, because I can't. If I see a palette, I'm like, right, okay, I'll have a blue smoky eye, and that's where it goes.
And that's,
you know,
yeah.
that's where it goes
Yeah.
for me. I don't look and go, this could be this wonderful scene. I can create this illusion. Like it doesn't occur to me, which is why I really like watching Glow Up. And I will admit to you that I was very hesitant to watch it originally, because my understanding of reality TV is that it's quite mean.
Yeah.
And that I felt like I was like, oh, they're just gonna tell people their shit,
Yeah.
and then you know, get rid of them, and it's all very horrible. And then I watched it, and I was like, everyone's so bloody nice.
It is, isn't it?
And also, it's not necessarily an opinion; it's more technical.
Yeah.
On things. So I've never watched the TV and gone, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I've gone, oh, what a shame. I like that person. It's a shame that they didn't do well this week.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I'm not. It's not. It is up for debate to a degree, but it is like, oh, I might like that person, but I can see that they did that thing wrong.
Yeah.
And also because of the technicalities of it all, yeah, I find it quite supportive in that, like, afterwards you go, well, actually, if you'd used this first and then done that, it's all very constructive.
Constructive. You know what? Thank you. Thank you. Honestly, thank you for saying that.
And that's why I really like it. And again, because I'm not someone that does makeup creatively, it mine's a means to an end.
Yeah.
I find it really inspiring, and I love seeing other people be excited about it.
Yeah.
Because at first, when I first started watching it, I was doing that thing. Do you know when you watch a quiz show and you're like, I'll do well at this?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I did that, and I was like, oh, I could do makeup, I could do this.
I could do this.
And then it's like someone paints, an illusion scene on their face, and I'm like, sometimes I'll get halfway through a smoky eye and go, that'll do. So yeah, I find it ever so inspiring. Again, also very constructive. And what I also found really fascinating about it is that everything is applicable to real world opportunity. So you take the contestants with you to fashion shows sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So they actually get hired based off of this, and if they're good,
Yeah.
you know, it's not they were popular on the show, so they get hired. It's like, oh, they're good at makeup, they are good at this thing, they're on the show, and it gives up, and they meet people and work with people in the process of the show that becomes tangible experience and contacts. And I mean, obviously, because I've only done Drag Race, which is very much a soap opera.
Yeah.
And the work afterwards is not necessarily related to your skill. It's related to appearing on the show.
Yeah.
Whereas this is because of the nature of it. And and the people that do well in the show do well in real life. Which I remember talking to James.
Yeah.
James Mack.
James Mack.
And I think it was maybe James that said this. Someone from the show said that, you know, as you get towards the end of the show, that's where like real big opportunities start coming your way, because you've shown so many facets of your ability by that point that you people watch that and go, wow, they're great, they can do this, and they've done that, and then they've done that, and then maybe someone who doesn't get as far, but they've done something early on that someone sees and they go, they were really good at that.
Yeah.
and it just feels ever so supportive. And I mean, it's TV, so obviously things get edited and stuff, but it would be strange. It would be harder to make it. Usually with these things, they look less supportive in the edit.
Yeah.
This looks very supportive. So I'm imagining there's even more we don't see.
Oh God, yeah. Oh my God, like so the feedback, the individual feedback on the creative briefs, which is the things that they do in the studio. We Val and I and whoever's the guest judge. But Val and I predominantly, because we're slightly more invested with the artists. We give feedback, and sometimes it can last about 20 minutes, and you'll get a minute, 30 seconds of that. But we don't, that's down to the editors. They're the ones that have to cut and slice and put it together.
But also, still, even if it's not edited, those people have learnt something.
But that's the thing. It's like we're not thinking about the edit. We're not thinking about the sound bites that the editors are gonna then cut to show that moment. Val and I see this. We kind of subconsciously felt the same thing about the show when we first started. It was kind of like maybe 2 or 3 episodes in, it suddenly dawned on us that what we're doing is we're giving new talent, which is necessary for the industry to keep going. We're giving new talent the best university experience that they can possibly have.
Because universities often aren't actually that
No.
practical. It's a lot of theory.
Yeah, I went to London College of Fashion, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was like Fame, but with blusher. It was like, it was weird. But I knew that I was going to come out of this with after 2 years, I was going to come out of it with 8 photos, just 8 photos out of 2 years, and about £15,000 worth of debt. And so my thought was, what this is going to do is they are going to have 2 opportunities a week to create. They're going to meet individuals that are potentially able to give them a job afterwards, no matter where they come in the show. And it's about giving them, the beauty industry is in this really weird state at the minute where you've got core makeup artists like myself, like Val, like Alex Box, Andrew Gallimore, Pat McGrath. You've got them lot. And then on the other side of it, you've got all the social media creators. If we don't pull some of that talent from the social media world into the industry, it will cave in on itself, because there will be no one to replace those big names once those big names retire. And so this is an opportunity to really open up what is quite closed off, open up a world to show you may be in your bedroom painting your face based on a YouTube video you're watching, but tomorrow you could be in LA working on a Marvel movie, putting makeup on Samuel L. Jackson. Like, that is where you could be.
And that's the reality.
And that's the reality.
Yeah.
And so having this show open up those doors and give artists that inspiration to say, this is what you could do. And the feedback that Val and I give, it's so funny, because when you watch, not that I am slight sort of, what's the word? When you like a bit of slap and tickle. Remind me.
A pervert.
A pervert. I'm a bit of a pervert. Where am I going with this? So, no, I do. I will go on to like MIBD and look up. IMBD. Sorry, I'll go to IMBD and I'll look up Glow Up and read the reviews, and they're always by Americans, and Americans don't get what Val and I do because they're not used to honest critique. Val and I give very honest, clear feedback, but it's constructive. We will explain. For me, I will give more technical feedback, because I had a long time within education. So I can technically explain why something isn't working. Val also gives technicalities, but she also gives it from a point of view where she is so long-standing in the industry that she just knows.
That's like a business perspective.
Yeah. So there's, we both come at it from two different points, which is why sometimes I love it and Val doesn't. There's sometimes there is that sort of crossover.
I was trying to think of a way to explain the kind of judging styles on a purely I'm going to say camp factor. Is the energies I'm getting is that you're the uncle going, oh, you silly sausage, you should have put that one down first.
Yeah.
And Val just sort of takes a sip of wine and goes, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
That's the only way I could think to describe it. I was trying to explain to because my boyfriend had never seen it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think you'd really like it. And they were like, oh, I can't watch them being mean to people. I was like, they're not. I promise you, like, if anything is like a negative thing, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
the only time we ever get really annoyed is when we feel like, and there's only been one time, a couple of seasons ago, I think it was season 2, and I was actually really angry because a certain individual was just blatantly not taking the piss, but just sort of like, not taking, and it's not like I want to take. It's only makeup. Like we're not doing heart surgery. Like it's literally, it's just quite frivolous and it's quite fun and it's creative, but people really want to work at this industry. And there was an individual that was just pissing about, and that's the only time I've ever got really angry. Whereas like, because I'm thinking, you've taken the place of someone that could have been doing, who is going to really take everything on board and learn from it. But the thing is, they learned, they realised, and they hunkered down.
Yeah, I always think about this with these sort of shows, because sometimes it is, you look at it and you go, someone, there's a lot of people hungry for this.
Yeah.
And there's been a few instances I've noticed when if people are maybe rude to models or clients that you and Val have kind of gone, hang on a minute, and then they go, oh, sorry, I didn't realise. And there was one, and I can't remember their name, which it was very bizarre for me, and I was kind of going, no, who did kind of a protest thing in the face-off.
Yeah.
And I thought that was it was strange to watch because I'm from Drag Race.
Yeah.
That you could do the best thing possible, and they go, well, it doesn't fit the brief, and actually here's something irrelevant that wasn't actually the judging criteria, but now it's the judging criteria now. But watching something that is quite supportive and someone sort of protesting, I was like, no, don't do it, you fool! And that was strange to watch.
Yeah, that was Charlie. It was such an interesting moment because, like, I just remember sort of looking around thinking like, what do we do? What do we do? Like, how do we do this? Because we'd never had it before. We'd never had anyone sort of do that before, and it was really hard to sort of. It's hard because the thing is, you it's like I know I'm old, but I'm not disconnected. Like, I understand young people and I understand their thought processes and I understand what it is they're trying to do, and I kind of feel like I understand why Charlie did what they did, but it was almost like the difficulty was the protest was protesting something that wasn't an issue with thing that they were protesting.
It wasn't related to what was going on.
The show, for those who haven't seen it, Charlie wrote, oh God, what is it? Queer something forever.
Something like queer forever.
Queer power forever. And it's almost like we're probably the most inclusive show.
Yeah, that's what I thought was so strange. I mean,
we were the first show to have pronouns.
Well,
that's
what I was going to say actually is that it's not even a big deal. It just appears at the bottom, and everything is. And I love it when it was. I think it was in the most recent one. When, as someone sat down with a model, they said, "Hello, what are your pronouns?"
Yeah,
and they said, and I think it was you that went, "Look how easy this is."
Yeah, It is, and I think that's the thing. And you know what was interesting about the first season we did was we did attached pronouns was season 3, and it was just a very quick conversation where it's like, oh, this is what we're going to do, and it's like, that's brilliant. And then there was so much. Well, not there was. Yeah, there was a few reports, articles about it as this is the future of TV. Like this is how it's going to be done in the future. There was no sort of like, snowflakes or whatever. It was just this is part and parcel of life, and this is what we're going to do. And then what happened was it led my dad to have a conversation with me about pronouns. Like, so why have you got pronouns on the show? And that allowed me to then explain the difference between gender, sexuality, and sex, like bodily bits. Yeah. And that conversation led him to sort of understand the difference and why people may appear physically male but want to use a pronoun that is not traditionally attached to a male form, which then he passed it on to all his dog walking friends that he went out, and and it's that sort of those conversations it enables. And so when Charlie did do when Charlie did do their protest, it was kind of a bit unfortunate, because I kind of felt like that's maybe do it on a show that is not so inclusive.
Yeah, because there's
make a point.
There's a lot, yeah.
But
which is,
for us, we were like, oh, okay.
But also, I thought the sort of reaction to it wasn't like sort of went, okay,
yeah,
thank you. There was no animosity, nothing, and that's again why after being hesitant to watch it, because I thought, because it's a reality TV competition, and then just seeing the way all of it is met with so much calmness and love and support. I find it endlessly fascinating.
Well, yeah, because I think what you're dealing with, and you will know this because you're working with multiple artists from different generational sort of positions in life. When you're working with creatives, when you're working with artists, they have a point of view, and for you to then sort of criticize their artistic view is condescending, because that's their thought process, and that's what they envision. So my job is not to sit there and say, I just don't like it.
It's the black eyeshadow could have been deeper.
Yeah. If this is what you want to do, I'm going to tell you how you can achieve it. Probably it's simpler, quicker, more effective, and to get the result that you're trying to. I see where you're aiming for, and this is how I'm going to help you to get there.
Would you like to know the most helpful thing I got told in episode 1 of Drag Race, which is Elizabeth Hurley, and they didn't put this in, but I'm out of contract, so fuck them. Elizabeth Hurley looked at some notes, and then she looked at me, and then she looked down at the notes, and she went, "Darling, I've just written scary." That was
Thanks.
How helpful. I was like, oh, she's quite camp, isn't she? I wonder what she has to say. And then she just called me scary. And she also did say, she went, "Do you always do your makeup like that?"
That's so.
But then didn't elaborate on it. This is the thing. And I left, and I was like, "It's Elizabeth Hurley. What's she trying to say?"
Yeah.
But that's again. It leading back to why I really enjoy it as a viewer.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Drag Race for me now is it's different to watch because I know how everything works. So that's why I've really enjoyed getting into another thing on the same channel.
Yeah.
With some crossovers of people that. What's quite nice also is that I kind of recognise the names of a lot of the people that you have as guest judges as well, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
Now
and actually, a few people that work on the show work on Drag Race and Queens of the Universe, and so there is a few sort of like crossover, and I'm always like befriending the producer who's also on. I'm desperate. I'm like,
oh yeah, I was
get me on it.
They've not asked yet then.
Not yet. Even though I'm constantly bombarding Michelle Visage with compliments.
Hello, you lovely
darling. Oh,
lady.
darling.
That seat
Hiya.
next to you looks
Remember
so
me?
gorgeous.
I'm the one that's not Val.
Well, I couldn't have Val because she's got a Michelle energy.
Oh, well, you know what's really funny is I always talk about Val, and the way I describe Val is she is a gay man trapped in a drag queen's body. That is exactly who she is. She is as camp as tits, and she has such a wicked sense of humor and such a sharp tongue that but she's also incredibly caring. Mm-hmm. She can read a room like no one else I know. She will just be able to walk in, know exactly where the issue is, and know whether she needs to deal with it or whether it will just fade. Getting to work with Val in such an intimate way, like the show, even though because I'd worked with her for a long time before, for about 15 years before, I'd worked alongside her on shows and supported her in different parts of beauty. But then to be in this situation where I'm getting to hang out with her, like, oh my God, she's got the best stories. I'm desperate for her to write a book, like an autobiography, because it is just the best. She's got the best stories.
Yeah, she's definitely got that vibe of like get a few glasses of wine down her.
Oh, you don't even need that.
Yeah.
She will spill everything. just you just ask her the right question, and she is there. Right. Well, let me tell you this.
The thing is, now the year, sort of Sophia from the Golden Girls.
It's Sophia.
Picture it.
Sicily, 1920. So it is. She is like that. It's just brilliant.
You're saying that sort of campus tits thing, and I think the two of you next to each other. I imagine both of you were born looking like you do now. So you had the glasses and the mustache, but as a baby, Val had the horn rim glasses. And you had the episode with the filters. As well. It's just that sort of borderline caricature thing. I love it, and that's why it works so beautifully. You two standing next to each other.
It is. It's a slight oddball. An oddball mix.
The weirdest married couple in the world.
Yeah, it is. It's quite. But it weirdly, I remember when we were going through the process of when they were going through the process of casting, and I was sort of in the mix with other people, and Leah, the producer that was sort of casting me. Or helping me through the casting, she kept saying sort of, what do you think about Val? What do you think about Val? And I was like, oh yeah, Val. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, maybe, yeah. And then after about the fourth time, I was like, look, Leah, I'm really sorry. I don't want to sort of shit on your parade. You need to forget about Val. There is absolutely no way that this woman is ever going to do the show. Little did I know that she was actually already signed up and she was already on the books, but I had no idea, and I just never assumed that this would be where Val would go. Mm-hmm. But I'm so grateful because I just think she is such a wonder to watch, and I think she's just so fun. Like honestly, we just giggle the whole time, and she does roll her eyes a lot because I spend 90% of the time taking selfies. But she's always up for a laugh. She's always up for a giggle. So it is brilliant fun.
That just the sort of when you're watching everyone do the things of you, Val, and the guest judge, it just you look at it, oh, this is a group of people I want to hang out with.
It is.
It's just so much fun. I'm going to move away from Glow Up now because we've addressed it. Your reality TV fame. In your work outside of it, is there been? Well, there's two parts to this. So, is there been something that you've done that you've gone, wow, I can't believe I did that. That's my favorite thing ever. And also something that you're like angling for that doesn't necessarily exist, or maybe like a certain face or a certain show or an idea that you want to. Because again, this is different. It's not like me saying to
a musician, oh, what album do you wish you'd written?
Yeah.
Or is there like a dream thing you would like to do in whatever way it may manifest, and is there a dream thing you have done?
Oh God. Okay. So, is there the dream thing that I have done? I think I've been very lucky, and I consider myself lucky. I've worked very hard. I'm not going to sit here and say it. I just literally rolled around and it all just kind of happened.
That's something, actually, just to interrupt you, I was going to say this earlier and I forgot to say it. In the Joe Lycett interview, he said that there are no out of work brilliant comedians.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining in the makeup world there is no out of work brilliant makeup artists because of the technical nature. Like, you've worked hard, and your hard work is why you are doing these things. It's not chance, it's not who you know, it is because of your hard work and your skill. And I just find that do you think that applies, that there's no out of work brilliant makeup artists?
I think there are a lot of unknown brilliant makeup artists. There are a lot of known makeup artists that are maybe not so brilliant, but they just have the personality or
or star power,
following. Well, it's also, I mean, from an inclusion and diversity point of view, the industry is incredibly privileged. It's a predominantly white privilege. You have to have the support and the financial support of family around you to be able to do it, because you're working. I worked for 5 years without actually earning any money, because it's just that sort of unfair, but unfortunately it's just the way it is, that you have to do a lot of free jobs to get your face seen and to get up the ladder to then get to a position where you can start charging money. So there are I'm not going to say a lot. There is a few people that are in a position because of their own personal privilege, not necessarily because they're the best. And the difficulty with that is that I would love them to acknowledge it, because if they could acknowledge it, then they could do something about it.
They could help other people. So I guess that doesn't apply then, the kind of no out of work one, because it's, I guess, very competitive.
Well, this is the thing. It's very competitive. I mean, because the thing is, there is so much work. There is no need for there to be competition.
People will always need makeup on in
something.
Some way. Yeah.
Like makeup, and that's the thing about Glow Up, is we've shown makeup influences so much of life that there is work out there. But unfortunately, sometimes people then come along and say, well, yeah, you've hired them for this much and I'll do it for this much. So then, and it's kind of like, there is no need for that. There should be no need to sort of undercut, and, there should be standards that we should all support each other.
Is there a union? There must be a union.
There isn't. There is in the States. There isn't. There is within sort of TV and film
is it under
unions.
equity?
No, I don't think it is actually. But it is that sort of. We deviated off the question quite a lot, but to answer your question, it's going to what Joe Lycett said. There is no out of work great makeup artists. Like, they're all working. It's just there are so many that are amazing that you just don't know, because they've just not had the ability to be noticed and seen. Which is kind of why, when, again, going back to Glow Up, the guest judges, we really make a point of trying to find those individuals that we really believe need to be noticed, that need to be seen, to be, so that it's not just the same top 5 that always get recognition, because the industry is huge, and everyone deserves a moment.
There's room for everyone.
Yeah, there is a room for everyone. But yeah, I think that, I've been very, very lucky. I like I said, I've worked very hard for what I've achieved. But I am very lucky that I have ticked so many boxes of things that you would think, what if I was a makeup artist, what would I want to do? Well, I've ticked a lot. I've worked in Fashion Week in New York, Milan, Paris, London. I've done what I would consider my three favourite designers, Westwood, Gautier, and Jeremy Scott. Ooh. Like, I'm extremely lucky.
The pressure there must be insane.
Yes, it can be. It can be. But at the same time, it's your job. You just do it. You just kind of, there's no real time to sort of piss about. You just got to get on with it. And you know, doing it for a number of years gets you to a point where you just know how to do it. So, you know, I've worked with the greatest makeup artists, Val, Kabuki, Alex Box, oh God, just, I can't even remember 90% of them.
It's a blur of brilliance.
It is, yeah. And the thing is, it's like, and the wonder of assisting is that you get to sort of see the greatest parts of each person, and you then steal it. Yeah. So you just literally you then become the amalgamation of all the greatest things that you've seen in others. I've seen some horrendous situations as well, and I've said to myself, I'm never going to do that. You know, when you work backstage with creatives who aren't necessarily designed to be people, they're artists.
You know, humans, they're this bizarre ball of creativity.
Yeah, so they don't know that you can't slam someone down, or you can't sort of throw abuse and shout at someone. They don't know that. So you do see some absolute horrendous moments, but you learn from it and you say, well, I will never do that. I will never act like that. I'll never behave like that. I mean, I'm not saying I've never, but you know,
it's throwing a blackberry.
Occasionally, I've had a moment, and I've had to talk myself down off the cliff. But yeah, it is that sort of. I would say that there's. It's not that there's nothing else I would ever want to do. I'm not in that position. Like, every day is different, but I feel just very fortunate that I'm doing the most random things every day. Like today, I never thought that in my world that I'd be sitting across from Joe Black doing a podcast. Like, it's just, I think the thing, it's with anything, and I'm sure you probably would say the same to any emerging drag artist, is that you just have to say yes. You have to take opportunities. I could sit there and say, oh my God, but do I want to do this? What am I going to talk about for an hour with Joe? Like, what if I'm just not funny? What if I'm not entertaining? What if I'm saying really boring shit? Like, I don't know. I could sit there and self-doubt for days.
Oh, same.
You know?
I mean this I've been recording these for a few months now.
Yeah.
And it's only at the time of us recording this, you know, one episode is out.
Yeah.
And I was putting off release. I'd recorded it and I was like, "Oh, wait till the time is right." And then I just suddenly went, "What the fuck am I doing? Just get them out there. Go do the thing," because it's you're putting something out into the world, and it's one of those things of you kind of fear things not doing well, but you're not doing it in the first place, so it can neither do well nor badly.
So true.
So, and I just keep, as bleak as it is, I just have to keep going to myself, well, we're all going to die, aren't we?
Yeah, but that's, you know what, the greatest thing I ever realised that pretty much changed everything was understanding that no one really gives a shit. No one cares, because they worried about what you think of them. And from that moment, understanding that actually walking down the street thinking, oh my God, but I can't wear that because everyone's going to laugh at me, or I can't do this because everyone's going to point at me, or I can't wear a moustache because I'm going to have kids laugh at my face on the train, which happens. But I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm doubting everything, every decision, every
I relate
point.
To everything you've said.
Because you're worried what everyone else is thinking. But then when you realise, well, actually, if I'm worried what everyone else is thinking, then they're worried about what I'm thinking. So if I sit there and realise that they're not thinking of me, they're thinking what I'm thinking of them, therefore, no one is caring what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. No one cares? So therefore, I'm just going to do it. You know, it's this idea of imposter syndrome. I was even talking to someone yesterday. One of the people I work with, she was getting upset because she was kind of worried about like, oh, but what if this happens? It's like, but what if it doesn't? Mm-hmm. Like, what if it doesn't happen? What if it actually is brilliant? You know, and it's a mind game. We are naturally, human beings are designed to think negatively because we're there to self-preserve. We are there to stay alive. So if we think negatively, we're being prepared for any bad situation.
We're preparing for the worst, that we can be delightfully surprised.
Yeah, but actually, we don't have to worry about the tiger jumping out behind the bush. We can actually just get on with our lives and enjoy everything that it has to offer. So actually stop worrying about what is potentially going to happen and just enjoy what is happening. And it was actually, again, I don't want to bring it back to Glow Up, but it was that sort of, how Glow Up came about was because I was offered another job beforehand, like a quite a big freelance job. And I allowed outside voices to start putting doubt in my mind, whether I was good enough, whether I was able to do it. You know, but what if this happens? Oh, but what if that happens? Oh, but what if this happens? And that means you might have to do this, this, and this. And what I allowed was their doubt of their own ability to influence my ability. And because of that, that job disappeared. Mm. In a weird way, it worked out because then literally a couple of weeks later, Glow Up came into an email, and it was all like, if I'd done the other thing, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't tell anyone because actually I realized I don't need your opinion. Mm-hmm. I don't need to tell you, oh, this is coming. What do you think? Their opinion does not count. My gut, my own instinct is the only thing that is important.
And had you done any of that sort of thing before? Was it like a first in terms of like TV?
Oh, completely.
Presenting, yeah,
completely.
So that's. I mean, I'm glad you didn't tell anyone because sometimes it's great to ask for other people's opinions. I think there are times, but there's some stuff that I think you keep to yourself and do because everyone's got a different viewpoint of things. Like a friend of mine at the moment is battling about whether to go away for a long contract of shows.
Yeah.
And what I'm making sure I do when because they keep asking my opinion, I am saying like, well, it's better to do something and regret it than not do it at all. And even though I feel like they might go mad, it is a very long time and I will miss them terribly.
Yeah.
It's taking a lot of, mostly because I'll miss them terribly actually, that I'm having to remember and go, nope, you gotta, because even if I very casually go, oh, it is a long time.
Yeah.
I don't want to be responsible for any doubt because I want this friend to flourish.
And that's a good friend. What you're doing is being the most amazing supportive friend because it's that thing that parents do on their children is put their fear and their doubt into their children, and as children, our jobs are not to live through the fears of our parents. Our job is to just live our own individual lives, and it's the same with when we're asking for opinions. I still talk to people about what's happening, but I understand that their opinion, unless it's coming from you, which I'm now going to ask you all the time, unless it's coming from someone who really understands you, their opinion is going to be contaminated by their own individual fears and ideas about the situation, what they would do in their and it's like, well, no, but that's not happening to you, it's happening to me. Mm-hmm. So therefore, you know, what I do with a lot of young makeup artists, and I do it with the guys on the show, is I always tell them, like, even though that they've left the show, I'm always here. So I you know, I'm always at the end of the phone, and a few of them do message me and or send me and we send voice notes to each other, you know, and they're asking for my opinion. They're like, you know, what this has come up and I'm not sure about it. What do you do? What should I do? How do I go about this? And I'm always there for them. I'm always there to give them my thoughts and my advice. But my advice is always exactly what you've just said. It is balanced, and it's never from my own point of view. I give them an understanding of how things work and an understanding of, right, this is how you, if this is what you want to do, my job is not to get you there, but my job is to tell you the steps to which you can get yourself there.
You give the directions, or the you give the directions, and go, well, that's this is the way I went. It's like, you know, having multiple streets to go down to get to a destination. Some people go down a different street, but this will get you to your destination in some way. It's just the way I went. You might find it easier to go this way. You know, I'm not very good at stairs, so I go this way around. Takes 10 minutes more.
But I feel better when I get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's lovely. Also, the kind of support afterwards.
I think it's really important because it also, we're dealing with young people, and I think, you know, they're so optimistic and so sort of ready for it that you can't just sort of drop them at the end of the run and say, okay, see you later. You know, some of them I know won't call me because they don't need to. But others do, and others, you know, I'll reach out to them and just say, how you doing, what's going on, you know, and it's, but I think it's always important to make sure, because, again, I didn't have it growing up. You know, I remember when I graduated from LCF, my brother, Darren, didn't understand how I wasn't working on the front cover of Vogue magazine. He was like, what? So you've graduated from college, you spent all this money, you spent all this time. Why are you not doing that? It's like, because I haven't got 20 years experience under my belt, and I haven't worked my way through meeting all the right people to get there. But he couldn't understand it. And so this industry is very specific, and sometimes you need someone who is in the inside to be able to guide you.
Yeah, and you can be that for people.
Definitely.
Just to go back to something I said earlier, just because we're coming towards the end, and I want to know
already
the dream job, the dream thing, or someone, or is there a person that you're like, I just want
to. It's so hard. Honestly, it's so hard. Because, like I said, I've been so lucky, and I've done and accomplished and met so many amazing people.
This is it, because I asked.
It's really hard to sort of say. I think that, you know what? God, it's even like the dream. You know, the weird thing is I remember once I was on the train and I had my kit. And if you know makeup artists, then their kit is just massive and it's heavy and it's bulky. And I was on the train in the morning and coming in with all the commuters, and they're all in their suits and they're looking down at me, sort of like, ugh, you're one of them. And
one of those people.
You don't work in an office. And I was like, no, quite frankly, I don't. Although we're in an office right now.
Yeah.
Shh, don't tell anyone. But I was like thinking, yes, I may not be paid a quarter of what you're being paid, but today, I'm going to a studio where I'm going to paint someone's face with the most amazing products, and I'm going to end up with the most amazing image at the end of it. Whereas you're going to come home and you can say, well, I filled in a spreadsheet. It's like, what would I rather do in my life? Well, actually, I'd rather do this. So I'm already kind of living the dream.
No, I think that's.
I feel very lucky that I know that not everyone has the opportunity in their life to do what they want to do. I'm one of the very few people, yourself included, that is doing and earning a living, being able to put a roof over your head.
Oh yeah, I have.
You know?
When I'll be sort of sat at home and I'll sort of like quietly look around and go, "What a silly job."
Yeah,
it's like, or I'll be going somewhere. And I have to, sometimes, especially if I'm feeling, I said this to someone else as well, I can't remember, maybe it was Joe Lycett, that whenever I feel myself feeling defeated by any of it, I go, I've done worse for less.
Yes.
And I'm still... the fact that I can... Yeah, I might not want to travel all that way for that thing because, maybe it's going to be an odd crowd or it's a corporate gig and no one's going to pay attention. Essentially, I am being paid to dress up, act the fool,
Yep.
and do what I love. Yeah, the environment might not be perfect because, for that moment, but in some capacity, I am doing the thing I am most passionate about.
Yeah.
And again, you'll have work that you'll go, oh God, I can't be bothered to. You'll be doing makeup. You're like, this is boring. Oh God, I wish I wasn't here. But that's life. You can.
You got to think about what the alternative is, and it is that sort of. It's so funny when you say like you get dressed up and act a fool. That's basically what I do. But just with makeup, I get paid to. We always say sort of like we do the doodles on the faces, and that's basically I get paid to do the doodles on the faces, and that's what I get paid to do. And it's almost like I feel sometimes I shouldn't say it out loud just in case someone hears and thinks, then what the fuck are we paying them to do that for? Because at some point is going to go, yeah, we could do that without them. It's
that that the feeling of being found out. There was it was on a podcast called Smartless, and they were talking to Liam Neeson, and Liam Neeson was talking about Anthony Hopkins, and apparently every time Anthony Hopkins sees Liam Neeson, he says, "They haven't caught me out yet." That is Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah,
says. And just smiles and goes, they haven't caught me yet. And I feel every day, rather than going, oh God, I'm going to get found out.
Yeah.
I think we should all take Anthony Hopkins' stance at it and with a cheeky wink go, I haven't been found out yet.
Yep. Not today, Satan.
Dominic, it has been such a pleasure to chat to you.
Oh, Joe, thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time and for bringing me to your room of Zen where the red phone is and it shall ring.
It's going to ring in a minute.
Ringing? And what's the month?
Pink.
Bing. That's the phone going down. I'm actually genuinely good at a phone ring in there, I think. Thank you so much, Dominic Skinner.
Woo!
Well, that was that. Lovely, lovely. Hope you enjoyed that. I love this chat. That was episode 6, and then next week is episode 7, which is the penultimate one of the series. Oh, how time has flown. I have loved it, but I shall lament more on that later. Yes, please do like, subscribe, all of that nonsense. Give me 5 stars unless 10 is an option. I'll be returning next week with not 1, but 2 guests at the same time. Isn't that bloody wild? 2 people at the same time. Right, I've had enough now. Right, I'm off to buy a tomato. Goodbye!